Breaking news! A group of mad scientists are attempting to revive an extinct trunked mammal, which once roamed the Earth over 25 million years ago, in the late Miocene to the early Paleocene period. Using their knowledge of genetic engineering, they are working to revive the Deinotherium gigantium, discovered and named by Johanna Jacob Coop, 1829. This species belongs to the Deinotherium and resembled a modern-day elephant, except they had a downward-facing trunk and were native to Africa, Europe and Asia.
The taxonomic name of this organism is Deinotherium gigantium. It belongs to the class of Mammalia, and its closest living relatives are elephants and manatees. There are over 185 extinct members of the order Proboscidea, to which both modern-day elephants and Deinotherium gigantium belong. Proboscidea, it literally means animals with trunks. The evolution of this order occurred in 3 radiations. The earliest record of them is around 55 to 60 million years ago. Earliest members in the first radiation were relatively small, aquatic, and from Africa. Later genera in this radiation inhabited forests and open woodlands. They then diversified and spread to North Africa, Eurasia, and North America. This radiation marked the appearance of the Deinotheridae, to which Deinotherium gigantium belonged. Deinotherium gigantium lived around 25 million years ago. The second radiation originated in Africa, spreading to every continent except Australia and Antarctica. This radiation marked the appearance of the Gomphotheridae. The third radiation led to the elephantids, which gave rise to Loxodonta, Mammuthus, and Elephas. Loxodonta remained in Africa, while Mammuthus and Elephas spread to Eurasia, and Mammuthus also reached North America. Almost all Proboscidea species are now extinct, which may be due to their inability to evolve to environmental change fast enough. The only 2 known surviving species of this taxon are the African and Asian elephant. Deinotherium is the type genus of the family Deinotheridae, which evolved from Pro-Deinotherium. There are 5 species of Deinotherium. Deinotherium gigantium was a late Miocene species that was most common in Europe. The other species could be found in both Africa and Asia. Deinotherium gigantium was the first species of its genus to be discovered. All species of Deinotherium became extinct during the early Pliocene. The only full skeleton of a Deinotherium gigantium can be found in the National Museum of Natural History in Romania. This specimen was discovered in 1890.
This segment is here to test your knowledge and to see whether or not you've been paying attention. So get ready.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The Deinotherium were one of the largest mammals to roam the earth. The males could grow up to 4.5 meters in height at the shoulders and weigh up to 13,000 kilograms. The theories for the tusks include that they were used for digging for roots and tubers and hooking onto tree trunks for easier access for their food. The skull was flat and relatively small compared to the length of the body. Their necks were long and flexible to allow the head to lift in order for the tusks to work. It is believed that the long neck was a feeding adaptation, suggesting that the Deinotherium lived in a forested environment. One of the key features used to classify and identify the Deinotherium gigantium was their mandibular morphology. All deinotherid flat molars consisted of 3 transverse lophids and are elongated. They had a thick enamel. The mandible discovered from Aiglstorfer helped to identify the Deinotherium gigantium. The mandible suggested that aside from being herbivorous, the Deinotherium gigantium were also folivores, meaning that they were consumers of soft, non-abrasive vegetation. The tusks of the Deinotherium were elongated incisors, making the species resemble modern-day elephants except for the downward-facing tusks. Their tusks emerged from lower jaw as opposed to upper jaw like in other elephants.
Quiz time!
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Looking at this species in relation to the food chain within their habitat and that time period, it can be seen that as herbivores, they couldn't have been predators, but they were prey. They were hunted by Homotheriums, also known as scimitar-toothed cats, and Homo sapiens. Living in woodlands, the diets consisted of branches and tree bark, acquired by breaking the branches with its trunk and using them to scrape the bark off the tree. They were also used to forage the land for grass, roots, tubers, and other vegetation from the soil. It was said that their diet was more nutritious than other extant elephants. The Deinotherium gigantium had narrowly adapted to a specific forest niche. It was a group that followed its own distinct and original evolutionary path. The juvenile Deinotheres had a different feeding behavior due to their small size. Their tusks had a social function. They were related to intraspecific competition. The fusion of the tissue of the nose and upper lip caused the Deinotherium gigantium to be unable to smell when in contact with its food. Quiz time!
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Although Deinotherium was one of the largest mammals that once roamed the earth, they were not the most intelligent. Their body structure made them more vulnerable to predators. The structure of their cranium restricted their intelligence. This affected the way they could protect themselves, making them vulnerable to hunters. Their body structure was mainly used to help them hunt for food. Their necks had a role of helping them maneuver their trunks. As they hunted for food, their sense of smell decreased. This made them vulnerable as their senses were not at full working capacity. Climate change was another factor that drove them to extinction. During the Miocene period, the climate was warm, may be described as tropical, whereas the climate during the Paleocene period was more of a cold and dry climate. This was a huge difference for the early Deinotherium to adapt to, resulting in their extinction.